Greetings, one and all. Welcome to the Icing on the Skate podcast. Yes, this is the very first podcast of its kind, ladies and gentlemen. This is Chris and I have been wanting to. We've done a few podcasts, as most of you will probably know. Say hello, by the way, Chris.
Yeah, hey guys.
There's Chris. And yeah, so as you know, we've been doing a few podcasts as time has gone on. But we figured we would like to find a way to make it like a regular thing. So think of this as, I thought of the name, by the way. The name's brilliant. Let me know in the chat.
Yeah, that is all his idea.
Yeah, let me know in the chat how awesome you think the name is, just so you know. Yeah, so we're very much doing a group of trial podcasts at the moment. We're hoping to have this up and running properly in time for next season. But consider these next few podcasts that we do over the next few weeks as the trial podcasts. The pre-season.
Yeah, they're a bit like a pilot.
Yeah, like the pre-season of our podcast's journey, where we get to just talk about stuff, and we might make new segments or new like intros or new stuff. Like we just want to get an idea from you guys what you think about everything and anything that you want us to add, anything you want us to take away. So we've got a variety of things to talk about today, including a lot in terms of British hockey. Of course, British hockey is something we like to talk about a lot on this podcast. And I believe we have some breaking news, ladies and gents, coming from the Brayhead clan. Chris, would you like to tell us more?
Yes, breaking news coming out of Glasgow is that the Brayhead clan have re-signed Michael Gutwald, the Czech defenseman. He's 24 years of age and shoots left. He played 39 games for Brayhead last season, scoring 12 points, including 7 goals, and sat in the penalty bench for 30 minutes. He's also played in the Czech League for HC Kladno for a vast majority of his life. Also played for the Czech Republic in the juniors as well. Had a brief spell in Slovakia. He went to HC Detva in the 2012-13 season, and then to MSHK Zilina and HK Michalovce in Slovakia last season. But his most prominent season actually came as a junior. In fact, his most prominent 2 seasons when he scored 15 points in 42 games for HC Kladno under-18s.
Wow. Well done on those pronunciations of the teams, by the way, Chris. Bloody hell.
I've got no clue if they're right or not. But...
Well, they sounded relatively decent to me. So, yeah, so that's the breaking news. Obviously, he... Gutwald. He's obviously got some experience with the Brayhead clan organisation, so that's pretty good. That seems like a signing that makes sense. If he was positive to the team going forward, he played over half a season with them, so they're hoping that he's going to be one of the building blocks for next season. So yeah, makes sense. A
good base import, I would say, with those kind of stats.
Exactly, like a good depth player. So, we have several different things regarding the Elite League to talk about today. And I think the first thing that we should go into is the players that have moved around this last week. There's been a few of them. So, Chris, if you want to just like go through all of them, and then we'll talk about some of them in more detail.
Yes, so we've just mentioned the Brayhead clan re-signing one of their imports.
Yep.
Well, more going their way as well. One that was yesterday, which was Zach Fitzgerald going from the Steelers to the Brayhead clan.
Yes, Zach Fitzgerald is returning to Brayhead to be the captain. He was at the Brayhead clan in the 2014-15 season. 44 games played, 14 points. Not too bad.
It's the penalty minutes that kind of make him stand out. In 44 games, 304 penalty minutes.
Jesus Christ! Wow! I'm going to see what the average is for that. Fuck me, that's a lot of penalty minutes. How many was it again?
304.
In 44 games.
So you're looking at in 44 games. So what's that? Nearly.
That's almost 7 minutes a game.
Yeah, that's
That's a
he has
fighting
had.
major and a minor penalty every game.
I think that's his highest average because he had 311 penalty minutes for the Albany River Rats in the AHL, but he played
Right.
77 games there. So I think he's out. That was when he was back at Braehead. He averaged the most per game.
Wow.
I mean, he took
That's ridiculous.
um, also in that season. That was in the league. In the Challenge Cup, he had 68 penalty minutes in 8 games.
Wow, Mr. Penalty Minute
Which is
Fitzgerald.
8.5 minutes per game.
Jesus Christ.
So he's had in total in the Elite League, so in the British League, he's had 216 games, 57 points, and 1,052 penalty minutes.
Fitzgerald. Oh, he's a locker room guy. He's a penalty box guy.
He also had 56 penalty minutes in 8 Champions Hockey League games.
Jesus Christ. Oh my word. If you want somebody to sit in the box for you, Zach Fitzgerald isn't available at the moment. He's now become the captain of the Braehead clan, ladies and gents. Somebody who sat in the penalty box for at least 2 minutes a game and averaged, in his biggest penalty minute season, averaged a fighting major and a minor penalty for an entire season, is now the captain of the Braehead clan.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Also returning to the Braehead clan is Scott Pitt.
Yes. Now I saw a lot of stuff about this. A lot of Braehead fans, of course, when he left to go to Manchester, were like, "We now hate this person. He's a traitor." So it's very interesting to see like how this one's gonna see.
Yes,
itself.
Joe. I think you're right there. He needs to be renamed Zach Fitzgerald.
Yes, I love it. Yes, Joe, beautiful.
Now Scott Pitt returning to Braehead is something that Scott Pitt is one of these players because he does actually qualify as not an import on your East Side Hockey Manager. I always tried to pick him up because he was such a solid player.
Yeah.
In his entire Elite League career, he's been at least a point per game player.
That's pretty impressive.
So in the 2014-15 season for Braehead, he had 53 points in 52 games. In the 2015-16 season, he had 51 points in 45 games.
Okay.
And 1 point in 2 games in the playoffs.
Oh well,
now,
that's not a point per game.
Well, okay. This will make it up then.
Yeah,
this will make it up then. In 2016-17, he had 74 points in 52 games.
Damn. That's good.
And then in Manchester last season, 49 games played, 57 points.
Wow. Yeah. So I mean, he's probably like one of the most consistent forwards out of like the last few years in the Elite Ice Hockey League, without a doubt.
Yeah, and considering that he's 30 now, but he
so he was doing it during sort of the prime years of his career.
Yeah, kind of late 20s.
Yeah, because most hockey players' prime is like 27 to 30, really. Like that's sort of like mid to late 20s is kind of considered the prime of a hockey player's career. So managing to get a point over a point per game in a league that's gotten more talented every year, that's quite impressive. So Braehead will be happy to have him back for sure.
They will. Right, elsewhere then, also on Monday, it was announced that netminder Patrick Galbraith has left the Nottingham Panthers to go to Sonja.
Where the hell is that?
Denmark. He went back to Denmark.
Oh yeah, because he's playing with his brother now, isn't he?
I'm presuming obviously there's going to be family and personal reasons into that.
I wish we kept him. I'd have him rather than what's his name, Garnett.
He has played for them before.
Yep.
He played for them he last played for them in the 2008-09 season where he had a save save percentage of 0.911 and a goals against average of 2.53.
Decent. Mediocre.
He's played a lot for Denmark in the World Cup,
Yeah.
but he's never performed that well.
Oh. Well, it's probably
To
because he
be
hasn't had a team in front of
honest,
him.
well, there is that as well.
How
But
many
he left the
Denmark
Nottingham.
NHL players do you hear about? There's like 2.
Well, yes, precisely. But he left the Panthers with a save percentage of 0.924,
Wow, that's
which
solid.
which actually looking at it is his best season on record in his no it's not oh yeah it sort of is in his career.
Okay.
It only got beaten once, and that was when he played for Denmark at the World Cup in 2009-10.
All right.
But domestically, this was his best ever season in terms of save percentage.
Okay.
His goals against average was 2.57.
Okay. Decent. But then again,
So
from a depleted defense, so I mean, Galbraith like essentially saved the Nottingham Panthers season, like without a doubt. So
yeah,
I'm sad to see him go. I would have loved to have seen him have a full year, but I understand why he's gone, obviously. But yeah, good luck to him. Seemed like a nice guy.
yep. So more imports leaving. Gustav Ahnelov has left the Coventry Blaze to go to HC Vita Haston.
Nice. Didn't really know much about him, if I'm
Now,
honest.
no, I didn't. Now that happened on Sunday. Now he was born in Sweden
Sweden.
and has returned there. Didn't really ever do anything for the Blaze. In 44 games, it was 1 goal, 9 assists for 10 points. So he never really did anything, which is probably why you've not really heard of him.
Yeah, fair enough. Well,
So
he's a
he never.
defenseman, so I mean,
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
is he like one of these stay-at-home type of defensemen? Because if that's the case, then fair enough. They're the ones you don't really hit. Well,
Well,
yeah.
yeah.
Just sort of looking at the rest of his career in general, he's how old is he? Well, he's about 21. Yeah, he's 21. He's born the same year as I was, and he's never hit more than 17 points in his career in a season. So that's
Yeah.
understandable. Like he's got a lot of potential to get much better. So
Yes. Now, Chad Smith has left the Five Flyers to go to the Sydney Bears, and I suspect that's for summer playing and
yeah,
he'll
that's
return.
literally what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously the Australians are heading into their autumn now and heading towards winter, so
Yes.
that's gonna be for playing during our summer.
Yes.
He's only 19, so it would be good to get more experience for him.
Yeah, yeah.
And then finally on the transfers, these are the ones that have happened obviously since we were on last week, is Einars Podzins has left what was the Edinburgh Capitals.
Oh, we'll talk
And
about
has
that
gone-
later.
Yeah, that's next up, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
And has gone to CBR Brave.
Oh, what the hell is CBR Brave?
The Latvian forward. CBR Brave play
it's,
in the
Australian League.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
so summer hockey.
Summer hockey again. He did 20 points in 32 games for the Capitals last year.
That's decent.
It is decent, probably one of their better players.
Well, yeah, one of their only decent players.
Well, yes.
So, and then, yeah, because then after it's Harding, who we spoke about
and
last
then
week.
we're back onto what we were
Yeah,
on last
so
week.
so
So
from
the
what
big
I've-
one for there is Mr. Penalty Bench.
Yeah, well, the thing that I've noticed is, so Fitzgerald has signed, Gutwald has re-signed, and Pitt has re-signed. So I've noticed that
Yeah,
the Braehead
Braehead are
clan
getting in early.
yeah, they very much like jumped the gun almost. Like they've gotten themselves in there early. They're setting themselves up for a playoff run. Definitely.
I was going to say, even with just those 3 players, you think they're going to have a good season.
Yeah.
They've got the
I
makings
think
there
Pitt
of
will
having
come
a
back
good
and have a
season.
great year. I think Fitzgerald is a locker room guy, and they'll want him to lead the team. He's a playoff guy. Like Zach Fitzgerald, his worth comes out the most in the playoffs. Of course, they have to get to the playoffs first if they want to prove that. And Gutwald seems like a decent two-way defenseman by the looks of it. So they're kind of shoring up their needs in each of these areas. So yeah, it looks like it might be good for them. So if
Yeah,
there's
Brayhead are
any
going to be one to watch.
yeah, definitely. In terms of stuff, so we're just gonna talk through stuff. If you have any thoughts on like any transfers or anything like that, let us know in the chat. We'll try and get through some of your comments. If not, just sit back and
Yep.
enjoy the podcast. One person,
Yeah.
Chris Brown, hello, how's it going? Has
Evening, Chris.
said that there's a rumour that Hammond and or Becker might be going back to the clan. Well, I mean,
Yeah, that would be.
yeah. Go for it, Chris. Go for it.
Well, I think that would be really quite strong as well.
Yep.
It's they really would be in a strong position if they went back.
Well, I'm just checking something, just to give you a, oh, come on, where are the stats? Here we go. Just to add a bit of context, I think it was Hammond was in the top 10 in scoring last year.
Yeah.
Let me just check this. No, I don't want team stats. I want player stats. Oh my word! Come on. I'll double check that. So, is there any other things that people want to say? Let us know in the chat.
Regarding transfers.
Yes.
Just in preparation, we are now going to move on and talk about the situation in Edinburgh.
Yes.
For
that's
opinions
our next topic.
on that.
Here we go. Well, Hammond led the league in points, and Becker was third.
Well.
So,
If you had Hammond and Becker, along with Scott Pitt
Yeah.
and Zach Fitzgerald and Michael Gutwald, they're going to be challenging really
the
high
Brayhead
up
clan
that
are
table.
immediate contenders. Without a doubt.
Easy.
Like,
Easy.
So for example, you've basically got a new first line there: Hammond, Becker, and Pitt. Done.
I would not want to come up against that.
Yeah, that would be a tough team to play. And yeah. So if those two joined, Hammond had 83 points this season, and Becker had 75. So yeah, like I'm not surprised at all.
Joe says, would we want Luke Pivot to return? Yes.
Damn right, son.
Yes, we do.
Bring him
We're not
back.
making any secret about
I
that.
want him. Bring us Pithy Poo.
Unhumorous the Gamer says Hammond is most likely off to America. Well, that could well happen, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised with an 80-point
No, I
season in the
wouldn't either,
EIHL.
no.
So
No.
he'd probably get a chance in the AHL without doubt. So that's all the stuff to do with today's or the most recent transfers. We will now move on to a very interesting situation going on with the Edinburgh Capitals. Now, I think
Yes, now shall we...
Yeah, go on.
I was going to say, shall we take this from the start? Because it all started towards the end of March and has gone through to the last couple of days.
Sure.
So, the end of March, we've mentioned this on the podcast before, but the Edinburgh Capitals implemented that new board structure.
Yes.
And we spoke quite a lot in detail about that.
Yes.
About how they then had a fan representative, a supporters club representative, and all the rest of it.
Indeed.
What then happened is that on the 12th of April, so that was last Thursday,
Yep.
they put out a statement on their website titled Hands Off Our Caps, and it said that the Edinburgh Capitals are battling to retain Elite League ice hockey in our city. Well, Elite Ice Hockey League hockey in our city. We are the only club who has the full backing of the Elite Ice Hockey League to bring you professional ice hockey in Edinburgh going forwards. We face a rival bid for ice time and be in no doubt the future of professional ice hockey in Edinburgh is at stake. The rival bid does not have EIHL approval and is gambling on removing the Edinburgh Capitals and attempting to enter the league. We have a guaranteed position and do not need to apply, a process which brings a huge amount of risk. There is a very real chance that should we not be a part of the EIHL season 2018-19, there will be no professional hockey in Edinburgh, not just next year, but for years to come. This is not scaremongering, it is a fact. As your only Edinburgh Elite League franchise, we have built a strong business case for next season. So that was on Thursday. Now
essentially, so they put out that statement because last Thursday it was announced that there had been a rival group, and I think we mentioned this on the previous podcast that there was a group coming.
Yes.
There was a rival group led by one of the Hand brothers, the brother to the British long-time, considered one of the best British players ever, Tony Hand. His brother, along with some others in Racers Limited Holdings, or whatever they're called. I think I have the exact name. Let me just get that, just to clarify, so people know for sure.
Racers Leisure Limited.
That's it. So they made an application for the Murrayfield Ice Rink because they want to set up their own EIHL team and play in the Murrayfield Ice Rink. And the situation was both the Edinburgh Capitals need that rink to play, and this Racers Leisure Limited want the rink to play.
So that happened on Thursday. Then fast forward to Monday, so 2 days ago, another statement was put out from the Edinburgh Capitals, which said the Edinburgh Capitals have lost their bid for ice time at Murrayfield Ice Rink. What this means for the Edinburgh Capitals as a club going forward is yet to be decided at this early stage. More information will be provided as things become clearer. In the meantime, the club would like to thank everyone for their support so far. That was on Monday. Then on Tuesday, the Elite League put out a statement, so yesterday, that said that they met for their regular monthly meeting and they discussed in detail the issues relating to the Edinburgh Capitals and their ice time agreement at Murrayfield Ice Rink. The league can confirm that it has received an application from Racers Leisure Limited for inclusion in the Elite League starting in the 2018-19 season. The EIHL has today written to all interested parties requesting further information relating to their interest in participating in the league next season. We invite any expressions of interest to email the league.
So, to make a long story short with that, just in case some of you were a little bit confused as to what's going on, to make a long story short, the Edinburgh Capitals don't have a rink to play in next season. So,
in a sense, yes.
Yeah, so there's a lot of questions as to what's going to happen to the Edinburgh Capitals next season. This Racers Leisure Limited, they've essentially, like Chris just said, they've formed an application and sent it to the Elite Ice Hockey League saying, we now have permission from Murrayfield Ice Rink to play in Murrayfield Ice Rink, and we would like to set up a team. I think the rumours are, I'm not sure if this is for sure, but the rumours are they want to be called the Murrayfield Racers.
Yeah, they want to bring back Murrayfield.
Yeah, they want to bring back an old Murrayfield Racers franchise, basically revive it. They've basically said, we've got the permission from the rink to do that, we would like to do this now. So they have written to the league to apply to become an Elite Ice Hockey League team. So then that leaves the Edinburgh Capitals with potentially a new team coming to play in their home rink and nowhere to play next season. So, like Chris said, the future of the Edinburgh Capitals is completely up in the air at the moment. We don't know what's happening yet. We're basically going on public knowledge, the statements that they release. But by the looks of it, and I wouldn't bet against it, ladies and gents, I think the Edinburgh Capitals might be dead before the season begins. I think after 13 years in the EIHL, after not really getting anywhere near to a title or anything like that, it might finally be the end of the Edinburgh Capitals.
Yeah, I think, sadly, I think you might be right. So that leads us to an interesting question, which is the situation we've got at the minute is we've got a team full of players with nowhere to play and a team with nobody with somewhere to play.
Yes, exactly. So I have a few questions with this. I think there's a couple of routes that this will take. Either the league will... So let's go under the assumption that Edinburgh are gone. They're gone. They're not going to find... Well, there's two different options. Either Edinburgh finds essentially the Capitals, move somewhere else and sort of change their name, find a rink that will have them, and go, right, we're moving our team here, we're relocating essentially. Relocating the team, relocating everything to do with our league. The Murrayfield Racers will have their rink, we'll have another team join the league, which will be the new form of the Edinburgh Capitals, which I don't think is going to happen. That could happen, but I don't think it will. Or, what will happen is the Edinburgh Capitals will have to get rid of all of their assets and all of their players and all of their coaches and head coaches and da-da-da-da. So the question with that is, there's several different routes that can take place here. One, like Andy T's just mentioned in the chat, there may be some sort of dispersal draft where they might do it the lowest team... Who is the 11 team? Milton Keynes. So they might do it like 11 or 1 to 11, but backwards from the league. So Milton Keynes, Then who was 10th? Braehead. No, it wasn't Braehead, was it?
Braehead. Dundee.
Yes, let me just get this up,
It
actually.
was Dundee.
Yeah. So, for example, dependent on how many players they have in their system, they might be able to do it so going backwards from the league, not including Edinburgh. So it'd be Milton Keynes pick first in a dispersal draft, second Dundee, third Braehead, fourth Coventry, fifth Fife, etc., etc., until everybody's had at least one pick. And essentially what they might do is they'll go, right, okay, we're going to give the assets to the rest of the teams in the league. You take on their contracts, you take on any signing bonuses or anything like that. And so the rest of the teams could potentially pick up a solid player, a solid import, without having to try and scout one themselves, and Edinburgh gets rid of their players. Or, here's what I'm thinking is going to happen. Do you think that the Edinburgh Capitals will find a way? They won't want to do this, but I can see them shifting their assets all over to the Murrayfield Racers for for a fee. If I could very much see the Edinburgh Capitals higher ups going, okay, here are all the contracts for our players. They are now part of your team. We know we can't house this team anymore. This team's gone. This team's dead. We don't have anywhere else we can play. So for a fee, and it'll probably be much more in their favour in terms of the price for the Capitals staff and the ownership, to go, here are all of the players that we have contracted to us for next season. For this much money, however many thousand, however many tens of thousands, however many hundreds of thousands, you buy their contracts, essentially. What do you think?
Well, what you've got to remember is that the Elite League have had an application. They have not yet accepted it. The Elite League could still throw a spanner in the works, turn around and say no. That's
very true. But then my question would be, why would they do that? Purely for the fact that if Murrayfield Ice Rink didn't think this group had a chance, they would have given it back to Edinburgh. That's the safe option. No. Like giving Murrayfield Ice Rink back to the Edinburgh Capitals is the safe option for them, because they've played there for 13 years or however long, especially in the Elite League they've played for 13 years. So they would have some form of security there. But they've decided to give it to this other group. So that must mean that I think there's something else going on behind the scenes here. They obviously know something we don't. I think the Elite League knows something we don't. I think there might be some sort of deal going on behind the scenes. I think that the Murrayfield Racers will come back next season.
Yeah, they're not going to give the ice away from the Capitals if the Murrayfield Racers didn't have a big plan in place, a team in place, and all the rest of it.
If they had no future, they would have gone, Capitals, it's yours still.
Well, yeah. So there's, like you say, I think there's something that we don't yet know, and it's obviously going to show itself in the coming weeks and months.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, the Elite League can still go, no, we're not accepting an application for a team. We just expanded last season to add 2 more teams. We don't want to do this, which is well within their power if they feel that's the right thing to do. But I don't
think they're going to want to, though, because then you're going to end up with 11 teams, and that's just going to be awkward.
They're backed into a corner at this point, because
they're going to want 12.
They've got the rink. The team's already secured the rink before they've made the application. So essentially, I think the Racers, business-wise, the Racers have done a brilliant thing. They've gone, we're securing everything except our position in the league. So then they can go to the Elite League and go, we've got everything else in place, you've just got to give us the go-ahead and we'll set up a team. And then if the Elite League are like, oh, but we don't actually want you, well, it's like, well, you're not getting the Capitals back because we've got the rink, so have fun having an odd number of teams.
Yeah, they'd have to promote like a Hull Pirates or something, which are the fallout from the Hull Stingrays or something like that from the EIHL up. But yeah, I feel the league, like you say, I think the league are backed into a corner ever so slightly. So it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out.
Yes, I assume the next few podcasts will have some sort of news related to it. I think this is going to be very interesting. I think like most people would probably assume, like the Edinburgh Capitals, there could be a chance that they relocate, and then the races might not come until the season after. They might go, we want to make sure the Capitals, because like the league has said they're committed to helping the Capitals thrive as a hockey team. Like they've put loads of stuff in place now, or they're starting to implement stuff. I don't have any proper examples off the top of my head, but they've never said that they've given up on Edinburgh. There was never any assumption that the Elite League were going, Edinburgh's done. They never said that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they would have come out and said they would have shut them down by now, I think. But the fact is, I think they're trying to find any option for the Edinburgh Capitals to play in some capacity in the Elite League next season. Do I think that'll happen? Not in Edinburgh. I think they'll definitely have to relocate. Maybe it's another Scottish city that they go to. But the situation is, the Murrayfield, if Edinburgh are relocated and play in a different city, whether that's in Scotland, whether that's Ireland, Wales, or whatever, if they do end up playing next season in a different form, the Murrayfield races will probably come in the next season, because they might want to find that other team in order to slot in.
Yeah, but the problem with that is that, say Edinburgh relocate and the league keep them in, you've then got your 12 teams still, so they can't really have Murrayfield in because that's 13. And then there's a random ice rink in Edinburgh that's got no revenue coming in for maintenance or any of the rest of it.
Well, maybe they would do it... I mean, I'm just spitballing ideas here, obviously, but maybe they'd do it. For example, if Edinburgh did relocate, I don't really have a specific place where I think they would relocate at this moment in time.
East Anglia.
East Anglia, yes, I'd love that. So if they relocated to somewhere and played next season, then perhaps they'd put this new Murrayfield races in like the EIHL for a year, just to get them playing. Just to get some revenue in, because I mean, some revenue's better than nothing. And then go, if you do this for a year, then we'll bring you up next year and we'll get another team in order to make it 14.
That would potentially work, because the D-side Dragons, who got relegated last season, they have 2 teams and they can't sustain 2 teams. I suspect they may go to 1 and go into the NIHL 2. I don't think the Sutton Sting are wanting it. The NIHL is weird, where you can win your league and then go, no, we don't want to go up, we're happy where we are.
Yeah, right.
So if you win, you don't have to go up. So and it's suspected that they might not do that, which would leave the NIHL North with only 9 teams. Well, if Murrayfield went into that, they'd be back up to 10.
Oh, that'd be interesting. So that sounds like it's viable, at least for a season. So then they have another year to figure it out.
There's a lot of variables in it, but yes, it could be potentially viable for a season.
But I think, like, just to sort of wrap this section up, like, Edinburgh are done. I mean, I made my video on it a couple of months ago. Like, do you stick and try and help them, or do you just cut the ties? I said they should just cut the ties, and of course I like to be right, but not in a situation like this. But unfortunately, I was right in a situation like this. Like, I don't want to see Edinburgh like gone. I'd like to see them get their chance. I'd like to see them have a chance to prove themselves in the league, which they haven't really had. So, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to come, and I think, the Capitals have been around for at least 15 years, I'm pretty sure. 13 years in the league, or 12, 13 years in the league. But I'm not sure in the British Super League days. But yeah, I think the Capitals are done. I think they're done. I think karma's finally got to the people that run the Capitals. Like, they've been running it really awfully for so long, and they thought, yeah, we'll just keep doing it. And this has happened, so... Like, the rink has lost faith in the Capitals. That's saying a lot.
Yeah, for the rink to take the gamble on that, there's got to be a strong business plan from the racers, leisure, what are going to be the Murrayfield racers, for them to have the contract. So,
indeed. So, that's the end of the Edinburgh Capitals section. We always have one every week.
Yeah.
If you've got any thoughts, comments on that, let us know in the chat. Our next section is on the World Championships, the upcoming World Championships this
No,
week.
it's not. You've missed out the Panthers coach again.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Our next section is actually on the new Nottingham Panthers head coach. So, if you need a minute or so to just write out a comment. One of the comments that we've noticed was Andy. Hello, Andy. You're right, mate. Has asked where the best place to relocate would be. What about Swansea? Like, would that make sense?
No, I would say that you should go towards the northeast because you had Newcastle who were there and are no longer. You had Hull who were there and are no longer. So there's definitely a fan base in the northeast for Elite League ice hockey.
It's very true. Yeah.
And all the rest, they're kind of dispersed around. So
the only reason Swansea comes into my head is like just adding in another Welsh team, because I mean we've got like loads of English teams. We've got a group of Scottish teams.
You say that.
We've got one Irish and one Welsh team essentially. Like
you've got 4 Scotland, 1 Ireland, 1 Wales, 6 England.
I'm thinking if they wanted to disperse it more, then getting one in Wales or Ireland might make more sense. But of course, the question is the interest.
It's not. They're not going to go to Ireland.
No.
Because the reason for
Travel.
that is because it's the British. Well, no, it's not that. It's the fact that it's the British Ice Hockey League, and therefore only Northern Ireland are a part of it.
That's true. Yeah.
And because of the Belfast Giants, it's too small, and you're not going to get another team in there.
Oh, Chris Brown makes a great point. There's only 3 Scottish teams at the moment, technically.
yeah, technically, I suppose you're true there, yeah.
So
thanks, Chris.
Yeah, northeast, I think, is our answer for that. Is a better place to go.
Yeah.
So
northeast.
Moving on to the next section, which Chris was kindly reminded me of. The Nottingham Panthers have a new head coach, ladies and gentlemen.
The hype video this time was worth it.
Yes, exactly. they actually waited until an hour before to talk about it. So I will read what the Elite Ice Hockey League have posted about this. So this was released.
Yep. You read it, and then I'll.
Sure.
Yeah, you read it, and then I'll do his stats.
So, the Nottingham Panthers announce Chernomaz as Nielsen's successor. This was on April 16th, 9:25 p.m. Just in case you guys are wondering. New Nottingham Panthers coach Rich Chernomaz says he's come to the club to win after agreeing to replace Corey Nielsen behind the bench. The 54-year-old arrives with a wealth of experience, having played in the NHL and AHL and coached in Germany for almost 2 decades. And he's already aiming for the top as he gets ready to face the challenge of the Elite League. And this is a quote from him. The only reason I came here is to win. I know Corey before me has a great record of that and we want to take it to the next level. We want to be at the top of the standings for years to come. It's easy to say and another thing to do. Well, yeah, but it's important we give ourselves a chance to win every night. Now, Chernomaz worked with former Braehead Clan coach Paul Gardner at Lower Frankfurt, with whom he won the DEL2 title with in 2017. He's also won this is just going off this, so then this is more Chris's stuff, but I'll mention them anyway. He's also a 2-time DEL winning coach, having won the German title with Kölner Heil and the Frankfurt Lions in 2002 and 2004 respectively. As a player, Chernomaz made over 50 appearances in the National Hockey League and just under 500 in the American Hockey League before moving to Germany, where he carved out a career in a variety of roles. He's also served as the head coach of the Hungarian national team for 5 years, under last year, and outlined the sort of bench leader the Panthers are getting. Chernomaz also added, "I've always been told I'm hard but fair, cheeky, and I think as long as I've been coaching in Europe that things have changed. The mindset and the way players think has changed down the years, and you have to be able to adjust and take a step back, while finding common ground to get the best out of them. We've had a lot of success with the teams of size and speed, and those are 2 things you can't teach as a coach. I like to play offensive-minded and an aggressive type of system. We want to play entertaining hockey because the fans spend their money to see it, and it's a big part of my strategy. So, tell us a little bit more about his stats, Mr. Chris Gadsby.
Okay, so as you said, he's been coaching in the DEL for almost 2 decades. He started at the SERC Wild Wings, went to Colner Hay, Augsburg Panther, Frankfurt Lions, was at the Frankfurt Lions for quite a while, then went to ERC Ingolstadt, and then Lowen Frankfurt, where he has been since 2013, often doubling up as a head coach and a sports manager. He has also been the head coach of Team Canada on one occasion he was the head coach, and 2 occasions he was the twice he was the head coach, twice he was the assistant coach.
I believe that's something to do with at least one of his appearances with Team Canada was he was invited as a sort of associate/guest coach.
He was, yes, that was his very first assistant coaching role in 2000 and 2001 season, but he has coached Team Canada at the Deutschland Cup. But,
makes sense.
He didn't win. As a player in the NHL, he played for the Colorado Rockies, the New Jersey Devils.
God, the Colorado Rockies,
Calgary
he's showing his
Flames.
age, isn't he? Bloody hell. Remember when the Colorado Rockies were a thing?
1981-82 season, he played 2 games and did absolutely nothing.
Fair play.
Then he played 8 games for Canada at the World Cup in 1994-95. So, what your first impressions on this signing then, Hayden?
I think my first impressions on this were I wasn't super disappointed, and I wasn't super excited because I didn't know who he was. That's the first thing. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I wasn't sitting there jumping out of my seat because I didn't actually know who the geezer was. But I wasn't they picked the wrong guy. I think this is definitely, compared to people like Pete Russell, who have been signed with the Braehead Clan, and some of the other coaches moving around the league at the moment, because this guy's essentially an import coach, I don't really know that much about him, and I don't think most people in the league know that much about him. His stats themselves are quite impressive, I would argue. He's made some... He's coached Canada at one point, he's coached in the DEL a lot, which is very much seen as a league that's definitely at least slightly better than the Elite Ice Hockey League. He's got a wealth of experience. He must have a wealth of contacts with DEL players. So in terms of recruiting, that could be very interesting. He could bring in a lot of players that he's very familiar with over stints with. He hasn't just spent the entire time with one team. He's worked with 4 or 5 DEL teams. So he's probably seen hundreds of DEL players go through the ranks. So in terms of that stuff, that's really good. And the only thing I'm thinking about, he won his titles 10 years ago. That's the only thing I'm thinking. He's not. He said in the bloody article, I'm coming here to win. He hasn't won anything in ages.
Well, he did get Lowen Frankfurt promoted in the 2013-14 season because they went from the 3rd division into Del 2.
True, but that's 4 years ago.
I know what you mean. I do know what you mean.
Yeah, for example, another example, the Vegas Golden Knights didn't exist 4 years ago, and they've made the playoffs in year 1. So sports is something that you can only rest on your history so much. If you're the type of person like him, they're very much playing on the fact that he's won a lot of stuff, you know. I mean, the best he's done, he got a promotion, whether that was top of the league or not, 4 years ago. Has he won anything since? I'm not saying that automatically makes him a bad coach because he hasn't won something, because you can't win something every year. But the fact that they're sort of trying to pass him off as this winning coach, and he does a lot of winning stuff, I'm not necessarily sure I buy that very much. I'm very much keeping an open mind to this. Like, I don't know if he's going to be a good coach. He might be brilliant. He might be awful. We won't know until the puck is dropped in game 1 of the season, you know? Well, I mean, more down the line, like how he handles the league and how he handles the players and which players he recruits. So I'm very much keeping an open mind. I'm quite excited to see what happens, I think, for sure. I'm just taking it with a pinch of salt that they're saying, oh, he's been an ultra-successful coach. But he hasn't done... He hasn't been, like... We're not talking about, like, winning 3 trophies in the last 5 years, you know? We're talking about him getting a promotion, 1 promotion in the last 4 years, which is still admirable, but it's not anything I'd write home about, really, especially because it was 4 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I was very similar to you in the sense that it happened and I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
right. And I don't know what I was doing at the time, but it didn't make me stop doing it.
exactly.
And then the more I think about it, the more I go, like you say, it seems very much an unknown quantity. Is he going to be brilliant? Is he not? He was good enough to be an assistant coach and a head coach for Team Canada at some points, and he has spent a lot of time in the Dell, which is a better league than the EIHL. I agree with Chris.
Yeah, definitely.
Is he going to be allowed to do what he wants to do?
Yes, that's a very big question.
Because he's got a lot of contacts, and I mean I don't know what the homegrown rules are in the Dell with regards to imports and stuff, but is he going to find himself a little bit restricted? Is he going to be allowed to bring in who he wants to bring in? Is the budget going to allow him to bring in who he wants to bring in? Is Moran going to allow him to do that? Is he going to be allowed to coach the way he wants to coach? Is he going to be allowed to, is he going to be allowed to make the Panthers play in the... Do you remember when... it might not. It might have been a bit before you started following, but there was a time when Panthers, I think it might have been towards the Grand Slam season or just after the Grand Slam season, and it was deemed really unsexy hockey.
Right.
But we were winning week in, week out, and then he was basically told that he had to make it look a bit better, and he tried to make it look a bit better, and we started losing games.
Right.
This new coach looks as though he's the kind of person that isn't going to get messed about.
Yeah. True. But then again, that's nice that he's not going to get messed about. But is he going to sit there and be Moran's lapdog? Like,
I hope not.
Is he going to try and push the boundaries and go, like, for example, if somebody at the Lions was to go like, oh well, it's in the interests of everybody if we create a stronger relationship, would he be like, yeah, you're absolutely right, let's do it, I want this to happen? Or would he be like, yeah, but do we though? Like, that's one example of something like,
yeah.
Is he going to come in and go, right, I'm the head coach here, I'm going to get this, like, you're doing stuff my way? Or is he going to go, Moran, I'm going to do stuff your way?
If I was a head coach, I would want to come in and make sure that I know absolutely everything that's going on and make sure I have control over absolutely everything, at least the final say in everything.
Well, I mean, as a head coach, because Moran's the general manager, right?
Yes.
So the head coach should be in charge. He should have control over everything regarding the players on the roster.
Yeah.
Like,
everything on ice.
The general yeah, exactly. The general manager deals with everything off the ice. The head coach deals with everything on the ice. Like, Moran recruits the players. Chernomaz coaches the players. Once those players are in the system, they're nothing to do with Moran, I would argue. They're nothing to do with him. He's done his job and he's recruited them. Now it's Chernomaz's responsibility to make sure those players produce like they should. You know?
Yeah. And we should make it clear, obviously Moran will recruit the players whilst talking to the head coach.
Oh,
He's not just going to go, right, you're having this guy and this guy.
Obviously. I'm
Oh
sure.
yeah, of course
I'm
they will.
sure
Yeah.
Shanomaz will be like, well, I know some good DEL players that can come in and help the team immediately, which would be great. Like, I think in terms of a recruiting tool, I think this is a great coach. Like, I could imagine he has a
Yeah,
lot of
I mean,
contacts for players.
I do. I agree with Boston B quite a bit, though, who
Hello.
says that the coach looks solid, but he's used to bigger leagues with less restrictions, and I'm
True.
concerned a little bit that he's not going to be able to bring in the players he wants because they're used to bigger budgets.
Here's the interesting thing, though, because he's been used to being the sports manager, which is essentially the general manager by the sounds of it. For like, he's been used to being the coach and the general manager. Will this be a situation that if the Panthers do well under Shanomaz, will they eventually go, Moran, you've had a good run, but it's time to hang up the responsibility and make him head coach and general manager? Then he won't be so restricted. I mean, budget-wise, yes, but then he'll essentially have full control over the team. It's a situation that I could see developing because Moran isn't getting any younger. So
No, I mean, he can't go on forever, but he seems to have no intention of going anytime soon. It's another one, I think, like the Racers situation. We're just going to have to wait and see how it pans out.
yeah,
This is one of these podcasts where everything is in its infancy, and it's a case of just letting it see what happens and reflecting on it then.
and then us just sort of discussing the potential possibilities. Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's our section on the new Nottingham Panthers head coach. I will give the Nottingham Panthers props for sort of going, here, have the news in 15 minutes. I liked that. Do that.
Well, they didn't say that, did they? They just said, brace yourselves, and I went, I wonder if it's going to happen tonight, because if it is, it's going to happen at 9, and that was in like 2 minutes. And then you sent me about 5 messages, all in capitals, that just said, new coach, new coach, new coach. Oh my God, it's a new coach.
Well, it was important. That's all I'm saying.
It was.
Okay, so that's the final thing. If there's any comments, any thoughts you want to throw out into the chat, we can have a quick chat about them in a moment. The next topic of conversation,
evening, Max.
this time properly, is the upcoming World Championships.
Great Britain squad.
Where taking place between the 22nd and the 28th of April. So it's this Saturday, I believe, until whenever.
It is.
So, yeah.
It's normally a week.
So, just a couple of comments from the chat. Moran will probably sign Brits. New coach will probably suggest imports. I mean, that could be an interesting balance, potentially. That Moran knows more about the British players, potentially. So they'll bring it. He'll bring in the British talent, and then any imports will be brought in by Shanomaz. That could be interesting. That might actually be the right balance. Although
Joe Kelly says, do you think we will sign a new goaltender? We need an import netminder, I think.
I mean, ideally, Sam Gospel will get the start that he deserves, but I don't see that happening. Like
he wasn't in net for the game you came to the lines, was he?
Yeah, he was.
Was he?
Yeah,
okay.
Because I remember I walked up when we first met up that day. You were like, "We've got Gospel in there," and I was like, "Yes, they have a chance."
Oh yeah. I can never remember because
I think Gospel didn't really get much playing time. He got playing time with the Panthers in meaningless games.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, is the best time to sort of look at a third string goaltender. But they have Garnett and they have Gospel. Whilst I don't think that's the best tandem in the Elite League, I think like how old is Sam Gospel, out of curiosity?
He is not that old.
I didn't. I was thinking mid-20s.
I don't even think he's actually that old. You know.
I could have sworn he was like 25.
Give me a second.
Sure, but because the way that I see it is, if he is like mid-20s, he either deserves a chance or he deserves the chance to go to a different team. Like, unless there's something keeping him in Nottingham, whether that's family, whether that's education, anything like that. I don't. Well, of course, we're looking up how old he is.
He's 24.
He's 24, so he's getting to the point where he's going to have to start thinking like long term about his career. Do I want to keep playing hockey professionally in this league, or do I want to move on to other stuff? And I don't think it's fair for him to be kept around as this third string goalie that they call up for third place games. Like, no. Like, either give him the chance to have a full season as a starting or a backup goaltender, or let him go to a different team. Like, I just don't think it's fair on him. Like, I get why the team wants to do it, but from a player perspective, like, give him the chance. Give him a chance to play 20 games in a season. I mean, put the defense in front of him and it shouldn't be a problem. Like, you see Ben Bounds, you see Jackson Whistle. Like, there are good British goaltenders out there. And I think Sam Gospel could be one of them. They just need to put the system in place in order to give him a chance to prove himself. Like, don't play him against the Edinburgh Capitals. Play him against the Brayheads and the Belfasts. Like, we need to know what kind of goaltender he is. Is he one that can live up to playing in the Elite Ice Hockey League as a starting goaltender? Or is he not? And if he's not, let him go and sign with a different team. I just think that makes the most sense.
Yeah, I think they've got to give him an opportunity, at least, to show what he's doing. I mean, at the moment, on this two-way thing with the Lions, I mean, he plays for the Lions if he's not needed at the Panthers. But I mean, that's kind of not fair on him either, because he never knows where he's going to be 1 week to the next.
Exactly. It's a situation where he needs to have his chance to try and prove himself. And then if he doesn't prove himself in the Nottingham system, that doesn't mean he won't prove himself elsewhere. So it's kind of a bit of a long-winded answer to Joe's question. I don't think if they give Gospel and Garnett a chance to be the 1 and 2, then I don't think they need to sign a goaltender. If they're not going to give Gospel his chance, then yes, they definitely need to sign a goaltender.
Yeah. I do think a goaltender needs to come in. So whoever that will be,
Irvin's Musnikov.
We'll have to see, or indeed if they. Well,
Jackson Whistle. That'd be good, wouldn't it?
You just play it.
Be good, would, though. Yeah. Ben Bounds.
Right. So, stop naming the Great Britain squad.
Fair enough.
Speaking of the Great Britain squad.
Yes. So, I'll give a bit of a background, and then you can read out all the players for us, Chris. So, head coach Pete Russell. This came out on Ice Hockey UK on April the 15th, 2018. Head coach Pete Russell, who is now the head coach for the Brayhead clan also, we talked about that last week, has named his 23-man squad to represent Great Britain at next week's World Championship in Budapest. GB will face hosts Hungary, who Chernomaz has coached previously, as well as Italy, Kazakhstan, Poland and Slovenia from the 22nd to the 28th of April. The 6-team Division 1 Group A tournament will take place at the Pap Laszlo Sport Arena as GB return to World Ice Hockey second tier for the first time since 2013, following their promotion in Belfast last year. Brilliant tournament last year. It really was. And then it's just talking about all the call-ups. I will say the people released from the squad are Lewis Hook, Kieran Long, Jez Lundeen, and Ross Venus, and Evan Mosey due to injury. So I think that's a bit of a blow to the team, but we'll go into that later. So, the 23-man squad, Mr. Chris, please reveal it to us.
Yes, so, netminders, we have Ben Bounds of the Devils and Jackson Whistle of the Belfast Giants. Thomas Murdy of the Devils is the reserve. In defence, Dallas Earnhardt of the Storm, Steve Lee of the Panthers, Ben O'Connor of the Steelers, David Phillips of the Steelers, Mark Richardson of the Devils, Zach Sullivan of the Clan, and Paul Swindlehurst of the Storm. Forwards, Ollie Betteridge of the Panthers, former Lion,
Woo!
Brendan Brooks of the Brayhead Clan, Ben Davis, Guildford Flames, Robert Dowd, Sheffield Steelers, Robert Farmer, Nottingham Panthers, former Nottingham Cougar,
Woo!
Luke Ferreira, Coventry Blaze, Mike Hammond, Manchester Storm, Liam Kirk, Sheffield Steelers, Rob Lakovic, Nottingham Panthers, former Lion,
Woo!
Matthew Myers, Cardiff Devils, Jonathan Phillips, Sheffield Steelers, Brett Pellini, Nottingham Panthers, and Colin Shields, Belfast Giants.
So yes, my initial thoughts towards this team, I know a lot more about the goaltenders and the forwards than I do the defence. There's several names in the defensive core that I'm not hugely up to date with, but I really like this team. I think this team's solid. Like, for example, I noticed that the Nottingham Panthers and the Sheffield Steelers have the most players. I believe they each have 5 players on the team. I noticed that there weren't any players from MK. There weren't any players from...
Guildford.
Oh, there is one player, Ben Davies from Guildford.
Oh yeah, sorry.
I think there might have been another team that weren't any players from. Dundee and Fife, there are no players
Dundee.
from them. So, I've got to be honest, in terms of like the bits that I understand the most about, Ben Bounds is our starting goaltender, definitely. And Jackson Whistle was the backup, definitely. Like, that position, I think, was locked down. Like, that makes the most sense, without a doubt. And Murdy as the third string makes sense, too.
Yeah.
In terms of the forwards, I really like the depth at forward. There's a nice selection of top 6 and bottom 6 talent here. Like, for example, Mike Hammond having a fantastic season this year. He's got the call-up. We've got Kirk, who's looking to be drafted by the NHL this year. I think I saw something recently saying that he was like 60th on the international skaters list on players, which I thought was incredible. So just running through the list of players on the forwards, Betteridge, good bottom 6 guy. Brendan Brooks, he's a solid sort of top 9 guy. Ben Davies, don't know a huge about. Robert Dowd, top 6 guy. Robert Farmer, top 6 guy. Luke Ferreira, top 9 guy. Mike Hammond, first liner. Liam Kirk could play any position, I think. He could play on any of the lines. Lakovic, a good bottom 6 guy. Myers, a good bottom 6 guy. Jonathan Phillips, a good top 6 guy. Pellini, a good top 6 guy. And Colin Shields, a good top 6 guy. So they have a nice variety of depth players and goal scorers. So I think that forward core is good. I mean, of course, I don't know a huge amount about the other teams in this tournament specifically, but I think we can compete with a roster like that. And on the defence, Stevie Lee, he's a decent signing. Ben O'Connor and Davy Phillips, I think they're pretty good pickups for the team. Erdhart, Richardson... Well, Richardson had a pretty good year, I believe. But Sullivan, Swindlehurst and Erdhart, I don't really know a huge amount about, but they're...
Swindlehurst had 1 season at the Panthers.
Okay.
And he was all right.
Right.
Nothing incredible, but he's someone in there. He'll put a good shift in, kind of bottom 6, maybe top 9. But...
Yeah. So the way that I see it is they've got some good offensive defensemen in guys like Ben O'Connor and a few of the other guys. They've got some good two-way guys, and they've got some good defensive defensemen as well. Like, they've got a nice variety of guys that can step up into the play and join the rush, and they have other players that can lock it down and get the job done. So I'm actually feeling quite positive for this group this year. They've got...
I'm looking forward to it.
Good.
I'm looking forward to it.
Just like
I think
Joe Kelly mentioned...
Max is right.
Sorry,
he says... Well, I was going to go on Max's comments where he goes, the top line could be Hammond, Kirk and Dowd, which would be like a really strong top line.
That would be incredible. Yes. That's a solid first line, actually.
That would be a really good... And it is, as Joe says, it's on Free Sports if you want to watch the tournament.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that. Yeah, it's on Free Sports. If you don't...
So I'll watch the game... Well, I can watch the game against Slovenia on Sunday, but because... And the game against Hungary a week on Saturday, but of course Free Sports haven't set their online up yet, so...
Well, I was just about to say that, actually. There is a solution for people that have, like, iPads and phones and shit. There is an app that you can download called TV Player, which you can basically they're on TV Player, and you can sign up for a subscription service so you get access to stuff, but you don't have to. You can just go, I want to use the free version of this, and if you search for free sports, they're on there. So there is a way to watch it away from the TV. So I thought I'd let everybody know that, just in case they were wanting to watch it like on an iPad or something. There
is it on like 5 Live Sports Extra as well?
I wouldn't know. No, I don't.
No,
I think
I'm just about to have it because the games that I can't watch is mainly because I'm driving back from work. So I'm trying to see if I'd catch like the final period each time.
Yeah, I don't know,
but I don't think they are looking at it.
No.
But so yes, the fixtures starting on Sunday at 12:30. This is our time. 12:30.
That's a nice midday game.
It does say it's 12:30. But then I think the IHF said it was like 12:30 GMT +2, and we're not even on GMT at the minute. So it's
I don't know.
No, it does say 12:30. So anyway, so we're starting off our game against Slovenia.
Okay.
That's at 12:30 on Sunday. So yeah, it's a nice midday game.
Good.
I think we're the first game that day, hence why it's so early.
Wow.
Because they'll play the 3 games a day, so that's why it's on at 12:30. Because they do 12:30, 4, and 7:30.
Right.
So that's what I'm assuming anyway on the rest of them. So we play Sunday 12:30 Slovenia. Then on Tuesday at 4 o'clock we play Kazakhstan.
Okay.
Wednesday at 4 o'clock we play Poland.
Okay.
Then Friday at 7:30, so good Friday night hockey for you.
Oh, good.
Is Italy, and then Saturday the 28th, so a week on Saturday at 7:30 is the game against Hungary.
Right. Okay. So we play each team once, and it's who?
Yes, it's once round robin.
Yep.
Winner goes up.
Yeah. Okay. So out of those teams, I mean, well, what are you thinking? Like, what do you think our chances are, essentially? I think the first goal for this team is to stay in 1A.
Yes.
So do you think it's realistic that we could stay in 1A?
Yes.
Good.
I think we could. I'm not worried about. I'm not worried about Hungary, really.
Okay, interesting.
In terms of beating us,
I think the teams to sort of be wary of: Kazakhstan, Poland, and Slovenia. Because
I was going to say we've definitely beaten Italy before when we were in 1B, and Poland again. We can beat them. But they are strong. Kazakhstan and Slovenia are regularly tough teams to play.
Yeah.
We've got a difficult start, and I won't say it gets easier, but I get a sense we're going to have to try and do some catching up in those final 3 games.
Yeah, probably. I think Italy will be the easiest game. Not necessarily will win it, but it'll be the easiest game out of the 5. I would go sort of from bottom to top. Italy the easiest, then Hungary, then something like Kazakhstan, Poland, Slovenia. Because Slovenia is often in the top set. They've managed to make it up to the top previously.
I think Slovenia would be the tough one.
Yeah, I think so.
I really do.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the Great Britain squad. Next week we'll be obviously right in the thick of the championship, so we can talk
Yes,
about
we will have
that.
had. Did you say there were 2 games this weekend?
No,
Is
there's
other
only the one on Sunday.
Okay, so we'll be at least 1 game in, dependent on
It's
when we
it's
take a
it's
look.
it's Sunday, Tuesday, it's Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday,
Okay,
Saturday.
awesome. Okay,
But if we, I mean, I'm throwing stuff out, but if we were to do this same time next week, so start at 7 o'clock on Wednesday, our game on Wednesday against Poland will just have finished.
yeah, okay. I see what you mean.
Just kind of, I'm
Yeah,
just kind of planning half ahead, but we'll talk about that later.
sure.
Joe says after the last warm-up games for Great Britain, he's not confident. Yeah, they did not show up in the warm-up games at all.
Well, I mean, they were 2-0 up in the
They
first
were,
game until the third period.
well,
So,
yeah,
and remember, they're warm-up games. Like that's
that is
like
true. That is
that's like
true.
comparing the preseason to the playoffs. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah, that's true.
different games,
Um,
different situations.
yeah. Right, so that's the Great Britain squad. Shall
Yup.
we round up and finish off talking about this round one of the NHL playoffs then, as they're
Yeah.
going at the minute?
Yes. So currently, at the moment, the NHL playoffs are taking place, as most of you probably know, because I assume most of you follow the NHL. So yeah, the first round of the playoffs, we talked about our brackets last week. Now we're kind of seeing where some of these brackets are going. Only one
Problem
bracket
is, I can't remember what was on my bracket.
I believe you said the Predators, the Jets, the Golden Knights, the Sharks.
I can vaguely remember.
The Lightning, the Maple
I'll get it
Leafs,
back
the
up.
Capitals, and the Penguins. I thought we were quite similar, except for that Toronto-Boston series,
I'll get it back up.
which has been a very interesting one, I will admit. So there's 8 series, of course, in the first round, and only one of them so far. We're about 4 games into every series. I believe the 4th games are being played tonight. The second set of 4th games for most of the teams. I think there's 4 games on tonight. One series has ended in a series sweep by none other than the Vegas Golden Knights. Ladies and gentlemen, like, I have no idea where the Vegas Golden Knights have got this from. Like, I am so fascinated with how well the Vegas Golden Knights have done this year. Like, to put it into context, there's only one other first round series that could potentially be a sweep, which is the Ducks and the Sharks, and San Jose might go through in a sweep by the end of today or by the end of tomorrow. So
we're currently not winning the bracket, I must say.
Really?
Adam's winning the bracket because he said Vegas would sweep it.
Ah, fair play. Wow.
We are
good work.
We are tied. We are completely tied.
Well, yeah, because we both said Vegas would go through, I assume.
We both said Vegas would go through, but I said in 5 games and it was in 4. I'm probably not going to get many points for San Jose. I'm not going to get points for San Jose either because I said 7 for that and they're 3-0 up.
I think I said 7 for that as well.
But
I think I might be able to do well on the Jets Winnipeg one because I think I said 5 games for that. I'm going to check this actually.
Let me have a look because I can see yours.
Cheers.
You said 5 games. You said Nashville, Colorado in 6.
Come on, Nashville.
You said Winnipeg, Minnesota in 5. You said Vegas, LA in 6, and you also said San Jose, Anaheim in 7. So
yeah, I thought it was going to be a more competitive series, if I'm honest. In fairness, though, whilst that is a loss, I decided to get back into DraftKings recently.
Oh yeah, you won a whole $1.
Actually, if you want to know for sure, I've currently won. I've spent. I deposited £5, which is about $7, and out of the I've done every. So basically, they brought in a mode. I think this might just be for the playoffs, but they've brought in a new sort of game mode, which is called Showdown, where essentially you make a lineup, a fantasy lineup based on, but you can only use players in that game for that series. So I've been doing the double up $1 one. So essentially, if you get in the top 10 out of 23, you you put in $1 and you can win back $2. So I did the 3 games, or the 4 games that took place 2 days ago, which was Boston, Toronto, Tampa Bay, New Jersey, Nashville, Colorado, and Anaheim, San Jose. I managed to win 3 out of 4 of them, so I spent $4 and I won back 6. So already making profit. And then I did the 3 games last night, so Washington, Columbus, Winnipeg, Minnesota, and Vegas, LA, and I won 2 out of 3 of them. So I spent $3, won back 6. No, won back 4. Sorry. So I'm positive. I've got a $3 profit here, Chris. I'm doing fine.
Yeah, nice. So yes, I'll just run down the bracket then. So in the West, Nashville are leading Colorado 2-1. Winnipeg are leading Minnesota.
To be expected.
Yeah, Winnipeg are leading Minnesota 3-1. As we said, the Knights swept the Kings.
Don't get that at all.
4-0. The Sharks are leading the Ducks 3-0, which I'm surprised at.
I'm very surprised at that as well, yeah.
Tampa Bay is only leading New Jersey 2-1.
I had that as a sweep.
New Jersey. You did have that as a sweep. New Jersey winning by 5-2.
Yes.
Boston,
bounce back,
Toronto, Boston are leading 2-1. Washington and Columbus are leading 2-1.
That's crazy.
And Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh are leading 2-1. So the East is all at 2-1.
Yeah. Yeah, every single game in the East is at 2-1.
Yeah.
The teams that have surprised me the most so far this playoffs, the Golden Knights, they're the only team in professional sports, including the NHL, the NBA, and the MLB, to sweep a first round series in their first year being in the league. That's fucking incredible. That's so impressive.
It is really good.
Marc-Andre Fleury,
if you...
In fairness, the defense and Marc-Andre Fleury for the Golden Knights were outstanding. I think they allowed 1 goal a game. I think both save percentages was at least 9.2 or higher.
It's incredible when you think that it was a team put together 9 months ago.
Yeah, exactly.
By consisting of a group of players that nobody else wanted.
Exactly, like every single player on that team, they haven't got any players that they drafted at the draft on their team. Every single player belonged to another team at this point last year. And yeah, some people might go, oh, well, the Vegas Golden Knights, they got a really easy run through the expansion draft. Even if that's the case, nobody expected them to be in the playoffs, let alone sweep the first round series. They didn't just win the first round series.
And of course, win their conference.
Yeah, they didn't narrowly go through. They swept the first series. Sure, early days, of course, there's plenty of opportunity for them to not win the cup. But the Vegas Golden Knights at this point are a Stanley Cup contender. If somebody had told me at this point last year, oh, you know that Vegas team that's coming in next year, they're going to win their conference, they're going to set records for wins, points, home wins, road wins for an expansion team, and they're going to sweep the first round against the LA Kings, who, within the last 5 or 6 years, have won 2 Stanley Cups, I might add. They're going to sweep them in the first round. I would have been like, what are you smoking? I want some of it. It sounds good. But, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. I have been so fascinated with how well the Vegas Golden Knights have done this year. Imagine the story if they won the Stanley Cup this year. How incredible would that be?
An expansion team's never won it in their first season, have they?
No, the closest. I mean, you can't really include when the league began, but the New York Rangers were the closest. They won it in their second season.
Right. Okay.
So.
Right.
Yeah.
So tonight we have 4 games. We've got game 4 of Pittsburgh against Philadelphia.
Should we go through who we think's going to win it as well?
Yeah, we can do.
So the game is in Philly. The Penguins took the game to game 3 in Philly. I think the Penguins are going to take it. I think they're going to go 3-1 up in the series.
I don't really know.
Well,
I mean,
judging by how this series has gone, so game 1 in Pittsburgh, like the
it's like
Flyers got
8-0 or something, wasn't
absolutely
it?
lit up. It was 7-0, I think. The Flyers got absolutely lit up like a fucking Christmas tree. Game 2, they came back and played it a lot better. Game 3 was very much in the Penguins' hands again. They've just got too many weapons, and Sean Couturier is a game time decision. He might not be playing tonight, and he was like one of their highest point scorers on the team this year. He had a breakout year this year. If he's not in the lineup, they're going to struggle. I think the Penguins will take this one. I still think it could go to like 6 or 7 games. I think the Flyers could pull one back, but I think the Penguins are going to make it a 3-1 deficit.
Okay. Then we've got game 4 of Tampa Bay against New Jersey in New Jersey, and of course they won 5-2 in game 3 in their own barn.
Now, I think this is I think whoever wins this game will be going through in this bracket. Think of it this way. The Devils, 2 games down before coming to their home ice. If they win this game, the series is all tied up. They're carrying the momentum in the series at that point. However, Tampa, if they win this game, they're 1 game away from going through to the next round, and they've got like about 1 million superstars on their lineup at the moment. But like you said, they
home ice advantage.
Yeah, exactly. If it went to 7 games, they won every single home game, they'd win. So, I honestly think that the Lightning are going to take it, but I think the Devils will give them a bit of a run for their money.
Yeah, I think the Lightning are going to take it, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as we thought at the start.
Yeah.
Then we've got back over to the West. We've got Nashville against Colorado.
Once again, I think this is incredibly key.
In Colorado.
Yeah, exactly. I think because there's so many 2-1 series at the moment, like, these game 4s are key. Like, for example, it's kind of as if, like, you know how I say in my franchise modes all the time when it's like 2-2 as a series, whoever wins the next game is 1 game away from winning the series. Whereas where we're at 2-1, the pressure's on the Avalanche here to win it, and the pressure's for the Predators to make sure they don't win it. Essentially, like, the Predators hold the momentum here. They're 2-1 up in the series. They won both the games in Nashville. I believe Colorado won their game at home. Is that right?
I don't know, because I've gone off that screen. It tells me.
Yeah. I know that Nashville played the first 2 games of the series anyway. So I think if Nashville win this, then they'll take it in 5. I think if Colorado win it, then the Predators will take it in 6.
Okay.
I just don't see the Avalanche winning this series. I think they can make it tough for the Predators, but looking at the Predators roster, they have the best defensive core in the entire league. They have a Vezina Trophy finalist now in Pekka Rinne, and understandably so. And they have Austin Watson has scored a goal in every single game in this series. He's a 4th liner. Like, they've got depth scoring up the arsehole. So I think the Predators will take it.
And then finally, Anaheim against San Jose in San Jose with the chance to sweep.
Now, I'm leaning more towards the Sharks sweeping here, purely for the fact that they won the first 2 games in Anaheim, and then they won this last game at home. They're at home, they're 3-0 up. It's theirs to lose, essentially, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Like, yeah. San Jose are completely in the driving seat of their series right now. If they want to take this to 7 games and they want to slip up like that, they're more than welcome to. If they want to shut this down,
they have against LA.
Yeah, they have the opportunity to shut this series down today. It's like Vegas last night. You've got to get it done. Like, that game was 1-0 yesterday. Between the Golden Knights and the Kings. I believe it was Braden McNabb, the ex-LA King, that scored the series clinching goal. So, like, if that's not a dagger in the heart, I don't know what is. But the Sharks, if they want to let this series go on longer, and they don't want to play the hockey that they've played for the first 3 games of this series, by all means. But if they want to shut this down, they are in the driving seat.
I think now that Vegas are through, San Jose have got to get through as quickly as possible. Because if that goes to 7 games and Vegas have had a week off rest, they haven't got a chance.
Well, I mean, that's something that I guess that's one thing that can work both ways. I think because
Yeah, it can. But
if you've played games, like if they take it to 6 games or something, they're still in the routine. Whereas Vegas will have a break for the next week or so. So they might be a little bit rusty coming back. That's the other argument you can make. Yeah. I guess it's how long it takes this series. Like if it's a 7-game series and they're playing every other night for the next week or so, that could work in their favour because they're continuing with the routine that they've already set in place. Or it could mean like they're banged up or they're tired and they just need a couple of days to rest. But on the flip side, the Golden Knights, they're through now. So they're either going to have to they're going to have to keep themselves entertained until the Sharks and Ducks are done. Like, they've got, well, I mean, I say they've got nothing to do. They've got no opponent to play, potentially, for the next week. So they have to keep themselves mentally and physically ready to go. Which is a challenge.
Well, they've got no opponent to play for the next week, regardless, because of course their second round doesn't start until all the first rounds are finished anyway.
Well, exactly. But for example,
so they've got a week without.
But if
they've got a week without a
week,
game, regardless.
Yeah, well, definitely. But if they, for example, if the Sharks sweep tonight, then they can go, okay, we're playing the Sharks in the next round. Let's get all the film we can on the San Jose Sharks, do our research, and start crafting a game plan. Similar with the San Jose Sharks. If they found out tonight that both teams would be a lot more prepared to play each other. But like,
they will.
If it goes to 7 games, then the series might be slightly sloppier in terms of the teams going at each other. But I think in terms of the rest of the series, within the playoffs themselves, I think the Jets will take it over the Wild. It might go 6 games, but I think the Jets will take it. The Lightning versus the Devils, well, like we said earlier, like that depends on who wins the next game, I think. If the Tampa Bay Lightning went out in the first round, I would be pretty shocked. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I would.
Everything has said that they shouldn't, so I guess we'll see what happens. The Bruins and the Maple Leafs, I think this series is going to bounce back and forth. I could see Toronto taking both of their home games. I could see both teams being undefeated on home ice, and then Boston going through in 7. If Boston,
I think it will go to 7. I think that one will go to 7.
I think if the Maple Leafs win tonight, it's going to 7. I think if the Bruins win tonight, it could go to 5 or 6.
Yeah, no, I'll agree with that. I think if the Bruins win tonight, then I don't think Toronto can come back because they'd have to win twice in Boston, and I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah. Now, I think the most interesting series at this point in time is the Washington Capitals and the Columbus Blue Jackets. For example, the Columbus Blue Jackets, before this playoffs, had never led a series in the playoffs in their entire franchise's existence. And they rode 2 consecutive overtime victories against the Washington Capitals to lead the series by 2 games. And then the Capitals came back last game and took the victory over them. Now,
a double overtime victory, wasn't it, as well?
I think so, yeah. I think one of them was definitely a double overtime victory, yeah. I think the interesting thing to do with this series is I've seen so many memes about the Washington Capitals, they're going out of the playoffs a round early. Whilst you have to get it done when the game appears, it's not as one-sided as people might think it is. The first 2 games of the series were decided by a single goal. It's not as if the first game of the series where they got of the Penguins Flyers, where the Flyers got blown out 7 goals. The Capitals have been in it for the entire series. They just need to learn to finish better, and they did last game. So I honestly think that the Capitals will tie this series against Columbus, and then I think it's anybody's game.
I think that's going to be a good series. Well, I say good. It is being a good series because 2 of the 3 games have gone to overtime, which is exactly what you want. Again, with the games in the East, Game 4 is so crucial because 2-2 is so much different to 3-1.
Yeah. Yep.
So I think it's a similar thing tonight, where if Columbus win tonight, then I can see them going through.
Yeah.
And if Washington win tonight, well, you've got a 3-game series and it's anybody's.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. And with
the 4th game is so crucial.
Oh yeah, especially when both teams have won at least one game. And then with the Penguins and the Flyers, I think the Penguins have got this series locked down. Especially if Sean Couturier is injured. Their goaltending is just not strong enough.
Yeah, I think the Penguins will go through on that one.
Yeah. Because for example, Matt Murray is a very interesting case. Matt Murray is the sort of goaltender that he's decent. He's mediocre for the regular season, but he always finds a way to outdo himself for the playoffs.
Yeah, it's really annoying.
Like he's won 2 Stanley Cups. Like you forget that. Like you forget that he'd won 2 Stanley Cups as a rookie. Like technically within the league, he was still a rookie and still eligible for the Conn Smythe when he won his 2nd Stanley Cup. Most players don't win that many cups in their entire career. Like he's found a way to. And I think the defence, in a way, have stepped up to the plate as well. They've made Matt Murray's life easier during the playoffs. And, of course, the Pittsburgh are known as an offensive powerhouse. Like, they've got Crosby, Malkin, they've got Kessel, they've got Connor Sheary, Brian Russ, they've got Chris Letang on the back end. Like, they've got a lot of guys that know how to put the puck or help put the puck into the net. So... And I think the goaltending of the Philadelphia Flyers just hasn't been up to scratch. They've got a lot of young defensemen playing in Philadelphia at the moment. They've wanted to see that new wave of young defensemen, and I mean, this for several of them, I think this is their first postseason. So they're just kind of getting the lay of the land at the moment. They're trying to understand what the playoffs actually are. So I think Pittsburgh have this series. Whether it goes to like 5, 6, 7 games, whatever. I think the Penguins have this series. Will be able to understand if the Flyers go through, because they have a nice sort of variety of the types of players that they've got in their lineup. But I think this is the Penguins series to lose.
Yeah, I mean, I've put the Penguins to win. And they should.
Yeah.
What should happen doesn't always happen.
Of course. That's the beauty of sports.
It is, but I think in this instance it will.
Yes, I agree completely.
And I think that Pittsburgh will go through.
Yes. This is an interesting scenario that we have here, because... So, for example, say the Lightning and the Bruins lost their series, right? Does that mean, like, that would leave the Predators, the Jets, and the Golden Knights, in my opinion, as the only Stanley Cup contenders? Because, for example, if both the Bruins and the Lightning... I think the Bruins will make it to the Cup final, personally. But if the Lightning and the Bruins went out in this round... I mean, I guess we could throw the Predators in there as well. If the Lightning, the Bruins, and the Predators all went out this round, there's the potential for it. They're all leading their series, but there is the potential for it because they haven't swept. Like, how many teams have to go out before the Golden Knights are considered the Stanley Cup favourite? I think is my question. Like, now that the Golden Knights have swept
the Knights
round
against the Sharks is going to be a really good series if it happens, which it probably will.
Yeah.
I mean, if the Predators go out, I think if the Predators go out and the Knights beat the Sharks, I think the Knights would beat the Jets and get to the final. On the eastern side, if you're saying Tampa Bay and Boston go out, you've then got New Jersey against Toronto.
Yeah.
Which could go either way, really.
Yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't really matter for the sake of what I'm going to say next. You've then got Pittsburgh against Washington or Columbus, where you'd probably have Pittsburgh through again.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh would beat New Jersey or Toronto.
Oh yeah, I think they would.
And then you'd end up with Vegas against Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh have had enough Stanley Cup finals for the time being, I think. I don't think they need another one. The thing is, I mean, I'm not really a Penguins fan, but I'd love to see the three-peat. If that actually happened in the NHL, like, that's unprecedented within the salary cap world. But I guess I'm just thinking, like, now that the Golden Knights have swept the Kings, they're the first team out of any of the teams to go through to the second round of the playoffs. It's not as if they're just another one of the teams. They've joined the league this year. They are the first team out of all the 16 teams to go through to the second round of the playoffs. Where does that place them in terms of Stanley Cup favourites? Because I don't think they're going to win the Cup this year. But then again, everything that I've thought about the Vegas Golden Knights and my expectations for them have been wrong this year.
It's just completely not happened, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I expected the Vegas Golden Knights to struggle in year one. They won their conference. I thought, they might make it through the first couple of rounds, but I don't think they'll make it very far. They swept round one. Like,
against LA.
And they didn't even make it look difficult.
No.
Like, if you take a look at all of the games, like, I think Fleury had a save percentage of .97 something. That's incredible.
0.977.
That's incredible. 0.977 for an entire series. Like, for example, three goals. Marc-Andre Fleury allowed 3 goals in the entire series. Brian Elliott allowed that many in the first period of game 1. Like, just to give you a bit of context.
It's just...
Like... I mean, in fairness, Jonathan Quick was astounding as well. Like, he had a save percentage of like .92. He allowed 1 goal in game 1 and 4, 2 goals in game 2, but that took double overtime, and 3 goals in game 3. He allowed 3 goals or more once in the entire series. So you can't really fault Jonathan Quick for his effort. And I think the defensive core and the goaltending of the LA Kings was good enough to get them through to the next round. It's just they came up against a surprisingly effective playoff performer in Marc-Andre Fleury and his defensive core. Marc-Andre Fleury has always been known as a player, except from like the last 2 years, to completely bottle it in the playoffs. And now look at him, allowing 3 goals in 4 games. What the fuck is that about? How's that happened? It's just... It's astounding.
Well, the NHL first round should finish about again this time next week, so we'll be able to talk about the first round as a whole next time.
Indeed.
So I'll just look at some of the stats then. Kaysborough says that the Leafs will win, but it will be a last game win. That's against the Bruins, not the whole thing.
Matthew didn't turn up for game 1 and 2. He didn't really need to turn it up if they want to go through.
Torrin Matthews says Nashville will win because the Kings are out.
Yep.
Kesborough then comes in again and says he thinks they're the favourite just because Vegas made it this far in their first year.
Yeah.
And then Chris says that Jonathan Quick's 0.947 save percentage is the highest by a goaltender through 4 losses in a single playoff series in NHL history.
I'm not bloody surprised. Like...
So he was the best. He's the best ever losing goaltender.
Exactly. I mean, like for example, if that was because there's been several losing players win the Conn Smythe Trophy. One of them being Jean-Sébastien Giguère for the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim when they made their surprising run to the Stanley Cup Finals. Like, he won the Conn Smythe Trophy for playoff MVP that year, and he didn't even win the Stanley Cup. Like, if he put those sorts of numbers up in the finals, he would have been in contention for the Conn Smythe Trophy without a doubt. The fact that he had to be 100% perfect in the first round of the playoffs, that's just unlucky. Like, think of how many other goaltenders in any other series this playoffs that has had to have been 100% perfect for the first 4 games of the series. The only one you could argue is Martin Jones for the San Jose Sharks, because they haven't lost a game yet. Who is it? What's his name? John Gibson for the Anaheim Ducks. Like, they're approaching elimination. Like, I want to take a look at the goal score, the results in that series so far. Actually, I know one of them was a massive blowout.
It was 8-1, wasn't it?
Yes, that's
one
it.
Of them.
Yeah.
But Andy says that the Wild should fire their coach if they lose.
Well, I mean, who is their coach at the moment? It's not. It is Bruce Boudreau, isn't it? Yeah, I think it's Bruce Boudreau. Well, he's never won the Stanley Cup. He's been known to be somebody that can never quite do it in the playoffs. In fairness, they're coming up against a brilliant Winnipeg Jets team. Like, let's not make any doubt that, like,
yeah, it is Bruce Boudreau.
They're the underdog in this series. So, just to give you an example of the San Jose Anaheim series, Martin Jones has allowed 3 goals in 3 games. Game 1, shutout. Game 2, allowed 2, but they won 3-2. And Game 3, it was an 8-1 game. Like, Martin Jones and Fleury and Jonathan Quick have all had to or have been, like, 100% perfect goaltenders.
Yeah.
That's just incredible.
Chris says that before the 3rd game of the Blue Jackets and the Caps, Panarin ranked 6th all-time in playoff goals, 2nd all-time in playoff assists, and 5th all-time in playoff points in Blue Jackets franchise history, because they'd never won a playoff game, had they, before this year?
I think they had won a playoff game. They'd never led a playoff series.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, they had... Because I believe they went out in 6... to Pittsburgh last year. I'll have to check that actually. But they'd never been leading a series. They're leading their series 2-1. So that's going to be an interesting one. But yeah, if there's any final comments you want to give us about the playoffs, also just sort of throw another bit of news in there to sort of be the final piece of news. The head coach of the Calgary Flames has been relieved of his coaching duties. Glenn Gulutzan, something like that. I don't know. He's been relieved of his coaching duties from the Calgary Flames, as well as several of the assistant coaches. I'll just clarify this for sure. Calgary missed the playoffs for the 2nd time in 3 seasons. Let's find who else. Assistant coaches Dave Cameron and Paul Gerard were also fired as part of this cleansing of the coaching bench. So there are several teams with looking for new coaches this year. The New York Rangers being one of them. The Calgary Flames now adding themselves to the mix. I believe there were a few more, or there might be a few more come the end of the playoffs. The Dallas Stars, because Ken Hitchcock has retired. They had an underperforming season, well, especially towards the end. But it's going to be a very interesting. It's going to be a very interesting off season. I cannot wait for the off season. Actually, I love the first day, 1st of July. I love just sitting on Twitter and seeing all of these tweets come in of different players signing with new places. I just find it so interesting. I love the off season in franchise mode. I love that more than in some ways, I like it more than the playoffs. It's like you're able to build your team and find the right players and sign loads of new guys. I just find it really exciting. But anyway, I think this is a good point to finish up. I don't know about you, Chris.
Yep.
We've
covered everything we wanted to cover.
Indeed. This was the first episode of the Icing on the Skate podcast. We're hoping to make this more of a semi-regular thing. We're hoping to do one at least a week, every week or so. These are very much like the pre-season episodes of this. We're hoping to have it like a lot more refined, a lot more, quote, professional for the start of next season. So, yeah, if you have any suggestions for us or any sort of like names for certain segments that we can make. Also, if there's any sort of like graphic designers or anything, I'd love to sort of talk to you about getting logos and stuff sorted out. I'm not paying because I'm a student and I'm broke. But if you're willing to do it for the good of the channel, then that'd be awesome. So let us, talk to us once this ends. At OddmanRushYT and at Chris_Gadsby. Is that right? Is that right for your name?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
and
perfect.
leave it. Yeah, so tweet. Yeah. So tweet us and leave it in the, because we lose the chat. So leave it in the comments as well.
Yes, yeah. Do let us know
video.
What you thought about this, what you think about the name. Some of you have said that it's a great name. I know it is. It was my name. I came up with it. Just saying. I just said to Chris one day. I was like, "Hey Chris, I've got a really good name for the podcast." He was like, "What about that?" I was like, "Oh, it's Icing on the Skate." Because you get it, guys. Like, because icing is in like icing in hockey, and then like the phrase "icing on the cake," but changing cake for skate. It's funny, isn't it?
I think if you've got to explain it, it loses a bit of.
I just wanted to make sure everybody knew what it meant. They might not know. just making sure we're all on an even playing field. So do tweet us if you have any suggestions for any further segments, or whether you liked it, whether you have any constructive criticism. Don't just tell us it's shit. Tell us why it was shit and give like a valid reason if you're going to say that. Because we'd rather have stuff constructive so we can make it better than just going, it was rubbish. Because that's as useless to us as going, oh, yeah, I loved it. I mean, I'd love to hear that you guys loved it, definitely. But tell us why you loved it as well. That's important. So, yeah, send us tweets.
Yeah,
also,
we want to know what to keep in, what to move.
Exactly, yeah. So do let us know. And potential names for segments. So, like, when we talk about the NHL, do we have a potential name for that segment? When we talk about the EIHL, do we have a potential name for that segment? Let us know. Also, in the description of this live stream, I'm going to sort of plug some of my own stuff. So, Chris, you're welcome to go if you want to, or you're welcome to stay. It's up to you. At the end of next month, I am taking a show to the Brighton Fringe Festival. Rehearsals for it started this week. It's a video game show. So we're basically trying to find the best video gamers around in Brighton specifically. It's the final project of my undergrad degree for acting and creative performance. Essentially, we're broke uni students, so we need to raise money and sell tickets. So there's links below in order. Well, there's a link to our GoFundMe page in the thingamabob, the description. I put up a tweet about it today, so check my Twitter if you want to go and check it out. Yeah, we just need to raise some money. Like, literally, our course has relatively no budget. So, if we could get any sort of...
I know what that feels like.
Yeah, damn right. So, if there's anything you can give, even if it's like £1 or something, just feel free. We want the show to be as great as it can be. Chris isn't doing it, just so you know. It's not me and Chris doing the show. It's me and somebody else on my course. And if you're around the Brighton area and you want to come watch the show, tweet me and I'll give you the link to buy tickets as well. We need audience members because our show does use audience members. A lot of audience participation, so get buying some tickets. They're like a £5. It's literally like £5 for a ticket. And if you're a student, I think you can get it for £4. So what more could you want? So yeah, I think that's everything sorted out. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Feel free to tweet at us anything if you want to let us know about anything specific. But thanks for watching. We'll be back at some point next week. We're not entirely sure when. We'll get that figured out between us and we'll tweet out
we'll
when
sort
that
out. We'll let you know.
I'll schedule it a lot better next time because I didn't really have time to schedule it this time. I've been busy in rehearsals, damn it. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you have enjoyed. But for now, from me and the lovely Chris Gadders, bye!